little bit bittersweet. We're going to say goodbye to the Houston Texans season. However, once again, what a season it was. The Houston Texans fall to the Baltimore Ravens in the divisional round in the playoffs. They lose 34-10. You can call it a blowout if you want to. There was no answer on offense for pretty much the entire game. But before we get started, this episode was brought to you by Bet Online. With NFL playoffs right around the corner and the NBA season in full swing, Bet Online has you covered with all the up-to-second odds, news, and scores. With additional odds, lines, trends, and info on both desktop and mobile, you can access the world's best wagering information anytime. Head there today to get into the action and see all the updated odds. Remember to use our promo code BLEAV to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet Online, where the game starts. Well, Harley, the game started for the Houston Texans rough. It was a tough day for your offense, and when I mean tough, it was your worst performance all year since week 1 against the Baltimore Ravens. My name is Ruben. This is Harley. We are talking about the Houston Texans blowout loss to the Baltimore Ravens. Man, we got a couple in us. We're sad, but we're not discouraged, if that makes sense, right? It's like when you're in high school and you smash the girl no one thought you were going to smash. You smash the hottest girl in your grade, and she says, you better not tell anyone. You better not tell anyone. You're disappointed that you can't tell anyone, but you freaking smashed, dog. You freaking smashed.
I was wondering where this was going, so I was like, okay.
It's like, but I hit, but I still hit. And the Houston Texans,
I might have lasted 5 seconds, but I still hit.
It might have lasted 30, but I still hit. I might have busted on a kiss, but I still hit. Hey, listen, man, I was this close away from an AFC championship, this close away from the Super Bowl. Anyone who is discouraged, you're allowed to be sad after today's game. You're allowed to be sad. Discouraged is not something you should be, because the Houston Texans defied all odds this year. And the fact that they were in the divisional round in the playoffs and 1 game away from the Super Bowl, you should be proud. Harley, how are you feeling after today's loss?
Oh, I'm feeling good, man. Of course, I hate fucking losing. Like, come on, man. I hate losing. We all hate losing. Someone's got to lose, right? We didn't want it to be us. We didn't want this magical ride to ever finish. We were on Aladdin's carpet, bro, and we were just riding that thing just like this, bro. Pause. Riding it, bro.
Pause.
Hey, you were riding that carpet. You were riding it along too, bro. Let's be real. We were riding that carpet until the damn streaks were coming off you, man. Come on, man. The Houston Texans did an absolute fantastical season this year. It was fun, bro.
It was great.
It was a lot of fun, shout out to the Ravens, bro. They're the number 1 seed for a reason. Dog shit out of you. They had the defense played 4 quarters for the Ravens. Their offense played about 2.5 quarters, And so the defense for the Texans, they tried their best. It is what it is. And shout out to Ruben of Illist. Hey, man, y'all only 1 step away from the Super Bowl. So, go take care of business. Y'all the number 1 seed in M&T Bank Stadium. They were rocking.
Man.
The pre-snap penalties were absolutely horrible to have. It killed you offensively, regardless if you were going to move the ball. Those pre-snap penalties, you just kept shooting yourself in the foot over and over and over and over again. Excuse me. The Houston Texans did not have a good football game today.
Nope.
Offensively, the worst game that I think I've seen since that Ravens game.
Yeah.
And
Deja vu.
It was a tough watch. It was a really tough watch. This wasn't the CJ Stroud we were hyping up, but it's also tough for Bobby Slowick and CJ Stroud to manufacture anything when your offensive line is A, shooting yourself in the foot, B, giving up pressure up the ass, C, your wide receivers are just not getting open whatsoever. It's tough when you're only relying on a Nico Collins and Dalton Schultz because John Mechie, I don't know who he is. I'm still wondering who he is. APB out on John Mechie. Xavier Hutchinson, I'm still wondering who he is. I know he's a rookie. I can't put a lot of heat on him. John Mechie, I could throw some heat to. And I understand cancer, injury, the ACL tear. It is what it is. But the offensive line wasn't pretty. It was not. And this wasn't the offensive line that we were hyping up. I see VT's comment now. This wasn't this wasn't the offensive line we were hyping it up to be. This offensive line has handled itself really well despite injuries throughout this year. They did not have a good day today.
No. Even though CJ Stroud was sacked 0 times, right? That's credit to him for getting the ball out before he had to take the minus yards. Pressure since the opening whistle. And it was something that we were talking about, right? We thought that the Baltimore Ravens were going to come out flat on both sides of the ball with 21 days of not playing football, but they look ready to go. Well, the defense did, right? Like you said, the offense, it took 2.5 quarters for them to get started, but you would have thought the Houston Texans would have came out and took advantage and try to score early, try to strike early. And in the first half, you saw the Houston Texans offense multiple times in Baltimore Ravens territory. Now, this is where I have my problem with the game. 11 penalties on offense. 2 false starts from Laremy Tunsil. A false start from Shaq Mason. 2 false starts from George Fant. It was an embarrassing performance by this offensive line. Even though he did not get sacked, CJ Stroud was pressured from the opening whistle. And I have to look at coaching right there. I know coaching was not happy with the team's performance in terms of penalties on both sides of the ball. You cannot win a football game with committing 11 penalties. With that being said, the offense just had no answer. Bobby Slowick, and as much credit as we've given Bobby Slowick the past couple of weeks, multiple head coaching interviews with the Panthers, with the Titans, with other teams, he still might get coaching interviews. Bobby Slowick did not have a good game plan today. This is where I say, Bobby Slowick, you should stay another year with the Houston Texans, grow with CJ Stroud, potentially get yourself another $2 to $3 million in the future, but not a good game plan from him. The running game wasn't working, and they knew you had to throw the ball, and even the Houston Texans couldn't do that. This was your worst offensive performance since week 1, right? We said this is a different Houston Texans team, and man, they look the same today. So credit to the Baltimore Ravens offense, credit to the Baltimore Ravens defense. Hardy, did the Houston Texans get out-coached today?
No, I don't really think so.
You don't think so?
No, not really. I thought D'Amico Ryans did a fantastic job defensively for the most part. This is really on the offense, and when you say out coach, I think of head coaching.
Okay.
So I guess if you want to say OC to DC, Mike McDonald is absolutely legit, and there's a reason. There's a reason why he's garnered head coaching interviews. He is legit. He is fantastic, and the adjustments they made in the second half were the key to this game. The Baltimore Ravens came out being a different team offensively in the second half. Man, it was tough to, create a perfect pocket for CJ Stroud. It's also tough for the defense to continue to stop Lamar Jackson when the offense doesn't do nothing for you.
Yeah.
Only 3 points for you in this game besides Steven Sims' magical punt return for a touchdown. Besides that doesn't do a lot for me. Yeah, and I understand this comment here. I understand it. It is annoying when you see Lamar Jackson continuously getting 18 to 35 yards in a quarterback run. That is ridiculous. So I do agree with him on that. Not having someone to spy on Lamar Jackson at times was, I mean, every time you didn't spy Lamar Jackson, he gashed you for a big yards. Kaimi coming back. I don't know, man. I hope so. He better be coming back.
I hope so. No, I mean, there's not really a lot of positives you could take out of a 34-10 game. The offense to me was just stagnant the entire time, which is very surprising. So you got to give credit to the Baltimore Ravens. Justin Matabuke just had himself a game from the start, right? Even though he did not get sacks, tremendous amount of pressure, made me want him even more. That Baltimore Ravens crowd was absolutely ridiculous from the opening whistle. But man, it felt like the Houston Texans at points in this game were ready to take the next step, ready to make a splash, but they just could not get it going. Devin Singletary on the ground, hardly 9 rushing attempts, 22 yards, 2.4 yards a carry, probably his worst performance all season, and it just nothing was going right for you offensively, man, which was surprising. And when something did go right for you offensively, so many penalties caused you to lose yardage, put you in down and distance situations, man. It's not something but you want to see. Switching to the defense. One of our keys to the game was making Lamar Jackson beat you with his arm, try to take away the run. Well, the Houston Texans couldn't do that. 220 plus yards on the ground for the Baltimore Ravens. Lamar Jackson, 800 yards, 9.1 yards a carry, 2 tutties. Justice Hill, 5.1 yards a carry. Gus Edwards, 4 yards a carry for 40 yards. You even saw Dalvin Cook dice you up for a couple. Your worst run defense performance all year, dude. It was kind of frustrating to see.
Yeah, it was frustrating to see. Um, it was. I didn't expect the Texans to allow the Ravens to have a run game besides Lamar Jackson. That was a bit shocking to me. I expected the Texans defense to hold the run. They'd done it all year. So, it is what it is there. The Ravens were the better team. They were the better team beforehand. A lot of us we were along that hope. We were along this magical ride. Excuse me. We were along this Texans having that. They had that special vibe to them, and they did. And hell, when the punt return happened, I went, "Oh, maybe something clicks all of a sudden." Maybe that's the momentum boost that we need for the offense to get going. It sputtered all day, and it was ridiculous. It really was. It was frustrating to see. It was frustrating to see Bobby Slowick just not adjust at all, really. And then you had one drive, and I'm glad somebody mentioned it. You had one drive where Devin Singletary gashed him for about 16 yards or whatever. And then the next play, you do a double reverse back to CJ Stroud for a
That play would have worked, bro.
and it would have been. It would have. I understand. But the optics of that play are not good. I understand that if George Fant freaking blocked on that play, that might have been a touchdown for Xavier Hutchinson. But it didn't work that way. And the whole optics of a double reverse wide receiver screen sounds absolutely horrible after you just got a little bit of offense going when Singletary gave you that 16-yard run and you got past the 50. Then you went right back the opposite way. And it was upsetting to see that happen because it really killed that drive, a drive that was really gaining some steam for you for that team.
Yeah, as Texans 22 said, it was a missed block.
Yeah.
Fan is gone in
He's
free
going to
agency.
get paid somewhere else.
Yeah. He's gonna get paid to be a starting right tackle. Did a pretty good job this season for the Houston Texans, man. Just execution, man, and You kind of see the first year with the Houston Texan offense today, right? You saw like some moments where you were like, man, just cannot get it going right. And the Houston Texans had many opportunities to take momentum in the game. Then they immediately go 3-and-out. Immediately go 3-and-out. I mean, pressure, like I said, since the opening whistle for CJ Stroud. But
yeah,
overall, man, like there's nothing else we could talk about besides a blowout for the Houston Texans. The story of the game was you cannot stop the run from the Baltimore Ravens. Lamar Jackson really didn't do anything in the air. 152 yards, was sacked 3 times, a QB rating of 121.8. No wide receiver for Baltimore had more than 42 yards. Zay Flowers 41, Rashad Bateman 39, Likely 34, Odell Beckham just one catch for 12 yards, just disgusting. And it was the run game, and we knew that was the bread and butter, right? The Baltimore Ravens have ran more than they passed this season, and you just could not stop it today. And I don't know if anyone could stop it going forward in these playoffs.
Yeah, and again, we mentioned it. The Ravens are the number 1 seed. We were really hoping we were. We know the Ravens were good. We knew it beforehand, but again, like I mentioned already, it felt like something magical was brewing here in Houston. It felt like something magical was going to happen. Kind of felt like maybe we could have the first rookie quarterback, rookie head coach tandem ever to maybe reach a Super Bowl. Like it had that feeling, it felt special. And the defense, hey, it is what it is. CJ Stroud moving forward with this Houston Texans team. We all know CJ Stroud, getting him, D'Amico Ryans, slam dunk. That is the future of this team, is both of them. And it's exactly right. We got some respect. We got a lot of respect. And now I want to shout out Cal McNair. I want to shout out Hannah McNair. We've talked to them both in training camp. They're fantastic people. Both of them deserve a lot of respect because they got the fans back. Yeah. Fans are invested. I understand why fans maybe not left, but were uninterested in the product because the last 2 years, it was tough. Believe us, we know it was tough to hit record and talk about a Texans team that we knew wasn't going anywhere from the
11 wins in 3 years.
2 years, 7 wins, or what'd you say? How many? In
like
3 years?
11, because we won 3 games last year, 4 the year before, and then 3 years in Deshaun's final year.
Yeah, that's rough, man. That's horrible football. And I understand why fans were uninterested in watching the Houston Texans, and I understood it. I get it. It's tough. Us, hey, we're going to be here, record, and if we go, 0-16 or 16-0, like we're just always going to hit record, but the Houston Texans, shout out to Cal, shout out to Hannah. They got a lot of respect from the NFL, this team, but most importantly, the fans are back and the fans are invested. And now we got some demands for the Houston Texans.
Demands.
Hey, man, it's good to know that next year your floor is 10 wins. That is your floor. You got 10 wins, year 1 divisional round exit. Year 1 of rookie quarterback CJ Stroud, of rookie head coach D'Amico Ryans. Who knows if Bobby Slowick is back or not? Whoever has indifferent opinions on him, who cares? At the end of the day, he's either coming back or he isn't. So whether you want him gone, whether you do want him back, it is what it is. But the Houston Texans can run this thing back, have almost the exact same team. Almost. There's going to be a lot of turnover, but $97 million in cap space. That's a lot of bread to throw around for this Texans team, and they can get a lot better this offseason with a good free agency and a good draft. This team has the ability to take that next step into the playoffs, a step of uncharted territory. We've never been there. As Texans fans, we don't know what an AFC championship game looks like. It's unfortunate, but we do not know what it looks like. No. The Houston Texans have expectations. They have raised expectations. 10 wins is at least the floor now.
And I made a TikTok I think yesterday, and it was me saying how excited I was watching the Houston Texans insane playoff run with CJ Stroud and DeMeco Ryans in year one, and then I I cut to another clip where it's like now I realize the next 10 to 12
Yeah, I
years
did see that.
are nothing but expectations, nothing but bandwagons, nothing but goals. Honestly, Harder, you could really say that if the Houston Texans do not make the playoffs with CJ Stroud, that season will be considered a
Waste.
defeat, an L, unsuccessful, and your goal now after a year one where you won 10 games, you won your division, and you were one game away from the AFC championship. Dude, next year, like you said, the floor is 10 wins. That's why I said on your podcast, Super Bowl or bust next year. Those are the type of expectations. Now, you said AFC championship or bust, but man, dude, I don't want to shoot too low. I know what this Texans team can be with a fully loaded roster. And the not great thing about being in the off season, but you can now look to the future. You can now look to free agency, the draft. Harley, one question I want to ask you. Is this the same old Houston Texans?
No, this is not the same old Houston Texans. You know why? Because his easiest answer to that question is CJ Stroud. You've never had a quarterback that great ever in this franchise history. It's unfortunate to say that, but it's the doggone truth. You've never had a quarterback of his caliber. You've never had a quarterback being compared to the Tom Brady's and the Joe Montanas, being in a statistic with them. All right. This man had a touchdown interception ratio into the lights of 2007 Tom Brady when he went undefeated that year. Look at the offensive players he had with him that year, with Gronkowski and Aaron Hernandez and Wes Welker and Randy Moss. That team was loaded. CJ Stroud did this rookie year with Nico Collins, Tank Dell, Noah Brown, Robert Woods, a rookie in Xavier Hutchinson, John Mechie, Dalton Schultz, who we regarded as the best offensive weapon for this team in the preseason. We didn't know Nico was going to take off. We didn't know, there was a lot of hope and hype around Tank Dell. We were happy for him. But we found out Tank Dell is more than just a slot receiver, like a lot of people were saying. Watched him at UH with the Cougars, and that man was absolutely fantastic as an outside wide receiver. So he is definitely an outside wide receiver despite his height, weight, size. The Houston Texans have a bright future. This is not the same old Texans. I hate that stigma. This is a different Texans team, and they will show it to the rest of the world with the years coming soon. CJ Stroud is that dude. He is absolutely him. And if he is not, I am telling you right now, I am going to be so freaking pissed. If he is not on top 10 quarterback conversations, at least top 10 quarterback lists going into the next season, okay. All right. Watch out then. Watch out.
This is not the same old Houston Texans. The same old Houston Texans would not have won the Week 18 winning year in at Indianapolis.
Nope.
The same old Houston Texans would have not won the wild card round against the Cleveland Browns at home. You know how I know that? Because I was at the Chiefs 30-0 victory over the Houston Texans in the wild card game that started off with the Niles Davis kickoff return for a touchdown. This is not the same Houston Texans. You talking about having victories over teams, and at one point, the Denver Broncos were the hottest team in the NFL. You snuffed out that flame. At one point, the Cincinnati Bengals were the hottest team in the NFL, and you snuffed out that flame. The hottest team in the NFL you played last week, the Cleveland Browns, with Joe Flacco potentially the comeback player of the year, and you put up 45 points against that defense. This is not the same Houston Texans. The Houston Texans, ladies and gentlemen, should put fear in other franchises because you have your first round pick, your second round pick, your third round pick this year, and you potentially have $97 million to mess around with in free agency. This Houston Texans team, their Super Bowl window is right now, and they have an opportunity to get there. You just saw in year one how far they got. The amount of experience they got this year is only going to benefit them next year, year 3, year 4. Harley, what are the biggest needs for the Houston Texans as we enter the offseason?
I definitely am looking at. I've said this from the get go. I still do believe they need an interior defensive lineman. I really do. I've been saying that since the get go. I appreciate them grabbing some depth in Taylor Tart and as well as others. Taylor Tart, by the way, did not even play today's game. He didn't play last week. I don't know what's up with Taylor Tart. I don't know what happened to him. He just fell off the face of the earth. So I would do like to, upgrade the interior defensive line, considering that D'Amico Ryans likes to rush a lot of just 4 guys at some point, like the 49ers do. But unfortunately, you don't have that kind of talent on the defensive line like the 49ers. Safety is a big one for me. And I think that might be your glaring need right now. It's just on paper, when you look at the safety position, right now you have DeAndre Houston Carson and Jalen Petrie. And look, I like what DeAndre Houston Carson. Hey, bud, appreciate what you did for me, man. He had a decent season for you. Maybe he's a depth guy for you. Maybe he's a backup moving forward. But if you can upgrade as a starter and backup, then, buddy, you can go back to the practice squad and get picked up by somebody else. I do not care. Jalen Petrie, that is a conversation that is a tough one to have. I love Jalen Petrie. His rookie year, he was fantastic. Sophomore year was absolutely atrocious. Should they play him closer to the box? A lot of people have said that. I don't know, man. He had almost a pick in this game that could have really turned the tides for you. It did not happen. And he's been really close on getting those almost interceptions a few times this year. I don't know what happened to him. Training camp, that guy was the best player on the field. Arguably. He was fantastic.
Miami.
The pick 6 against the Miami Dolphins and takes the helmet off and tells them to get the F off the field. Yeah, I want that Jalen Petrie back. I don't know what happened to him because the first half of week 1 against the Ravens, he was everywhere. And then he had that bruised, I think it was a bruised lung or bruised something. And ever since then, he just never looked good. I don't know what happened to him. It's a tough one to have that conversation with. But Jimmy Ward, buddy, you gone. You bye-bye. Like, I don't need Jalen. I mean, I don't need Jimmy Ward back on this team. I thought this man was going to bring a lot more to the table than what he did. Besides just being what was a veteran and a leader, supposedly, and a captain. Besides, there's only 2 plays I know of Jimmy Ward. There's an interception against the Denver Broncos. And then his second play was against the Houston Texans back in training camp that got me hyped. It got me going. He took out Dalton Schultz's head in training camp. And man, I was lit. I was crazy, bro. I was like, hell, okay, Jimmy. That's what we like to see. Damn it, Jimmy. That's the only 2 plays I know of Jimmy Ward. I don't know another one. I can't think of another one. He does great hype speeches. I'll give you that. You know who else does great hype speeches? Brian Cushing.
Yep.
If he wants to be on the unemployment line with him, go on with it, man. If you want to be retired with him, go on with it. But Jimmy Ward, he got hurt all the time. You said it on my live stream. I thought that was pretty telling. How can you be a captain of the team if you always hurt?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean,
That's tough, bro.
it's tough because with captains lead by example, and if my captain is not there on the field, man, how can I really look at him? I mean, what look, Jimmy Ward, we were so hype about him. Why? Because he was gonna be your D'Amico Ryans on the field. Well, the issue is he can't stay on the field, and it was pretty much the entire season. I think Jimmy Ward started the season hurt, and he ended the season hurt, and that's not something that I look forward going into year two with Jimmy Ward or with D'Amico Ryans, because if I can't rely on you to be in the postseason, because for the future of this Houston Texans team, I am thinking every single year they are going to the postseason. And if I don't think you can be there, then buddy, I'm sorry. I don't care what your last name is. I don't want you on this team. And I think you need to replace Jimmy Ward. And you hit it on Jalen Petrie. A horrible year two. I mean, this is a guy that had 5 interceptions last year, 100+ tackles. We both said Jalen Petrie is going to be an All-Pro this year. He was horrible. He was horrible in this game. He got benched. And what happens in this game if Jalen Petrie gets that interception?
Who knows?
I think that he is fighting for his job next year. You need to replace both positions at the safety. A lot of people have talked about Antoine Winfield, who is a free agent. If you're going to be someone that throws him the bag, that's someone that I wouldn't mind giving it to. This dude is absolutely legit. But with Jalen Petrie, man, it's sad to see. It's sad to see because we were hype about him. Like I said, we both gave All-Pro, nods to him. That pick six against the Ravens in training camp after they win 2 back-to-back plays of 40+ yards with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. Man, and to see that, you were hyped. We were like, this dude was a captain, Harley. This dude was a captain. And the fact that we just could not rely on Jalen Petrie to make an impact in the secondary is absolutely insane. I mean, I don't think once all year we gave credit to Jalen Petrie having a good game. And that's what's sad to see, because not only is this dude from the H, but this is a second-round pick who you drafted, and you need your second-round pick to produce. Jalen Petrie will be fighting for his job next year. I think cornerback is number 2 in terms of need, because I don't think Steven Nelson is going to be here next year. I think he is trying to go somewhere to get a ring. Even then, I do not want Steven Nelson back. Kind of fell off towards the end of the year. You need to be looking to help at corner. However, I think the draft is where you address corner. Kool-Aid McKinstry, cornerback from Alabama, I am in love with. I think him and Stingley will be absolutely fantastic. Cornerback for me is number 2 on needs for the Houston Texans. What about you, Harley?
Yeah, I love talking about the cornerback position. You got Kool-Aid McKinstry, Terrion Arnold is another cornerback as well to talk about. The Houston Texans need to upgrade at corner regardless. Steven Nelson, thank you. Appreciate what you did for me.
Good season. Good season.
Good season. I mean, he helped on really well. I just mentioned Terrion Arnold right now. He filled in for you well whenever Derek Stingley was out. I appreciate what he did for me. But at the end of the day, Steven Nelson, there's many highlights of him not looking good for this team, regardless of the number of turnovers that he did create for them. I love Derek Stingley Jr., but we also got to take into a fact that he still is an injury-prone guy.
Yeah.
And is one corner good enough for this team? No. I think corner's a huge need for them. And yeah, you could look at the draft. I also think you need to look at the free agency as well, because like that guy just said, Desmond King question mark, slot corner would be really good for this team. Fantastic. I know those are tough to find. I get it, but if you can find a way to get yourself two really strong corners, or maybe it's just getting a corner safety duo.
Yeah.
Maybe this offseason you go into it like the 2012 to 2013 Texans. Oh no, excuse me. The 2011 2012 Texans offseason, where they got themselves a damn good cornerback safety duo signings in free agency when you had grabbed Jonathan Joseph and Daniel Manning. Maybe the Houston Texans replicate that this year. I don't know. I don't know if a lot of free agent corners off the top of my head. I do know Antoine Winfield would look really, really nice in that steel blue, Liberty white, and battle red. I know that for a fact. I don't know the corners off the top of my head, but that would be really nice to have as a Texans fan. But I do believe you're right. Cornerback is a very it's a need for this team that I don't think a lot of fans have talked about.
Okay, so it goes Adoree Jackson,
Okay.
Kendall Fuller,
Okay.
Stephon Gilmore,
Mm,
Michael Davis, Jeff
okay.
Okudah,
Meh.
Kenny Moore,
Not bad. He's a little
CJ
older.
Henderson,
CJ who?
CJ Henderson from
Oh,
Carolina,
Jesus. Wow.
Rocky Sim from Baltimore,
Okay.
Shaquille Griffin,
Meh.
Tavia Thomas,
Meh.
Ronald Darby for
Mhm.
Baltimore.
I wouldn't mind bringing him in this year.
It's Texans legend Lonnie Johnson.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's the one.
Outside of that, man, there's not really a lot to look at on the cornerback market.
Yeah, that's tough. That's unfortunate. That is
And
very
I don't think
unfortunate.
anyone is over 25 besides Jeff Okudah, who had a pretty good season with the Atlanta Falcons. Okudah will be a good addition, I think.
I
If you
think so, just because he's youth.
cheap.
Yeah, maybe. We've seen the cornerbacks actually play well here with the Texans. In this scheme, we saw cornerbacks play well in Robert Saleh back in the San Francisco 49ers era as well. And they're doing it again. So maybe it's Jeff Okudah. But I will say this: seeing that cornerback market is a little
Then
not good, seeing a Jeff Okudah who's still young, got a lot of potential on the bone. Still, you could say maybe somebody wants to throw a little bit of a higher AAV his way, a little higher salary towards his way. I don't know. I'm just speculating, but I could see that happening. The Houston Texans got the money though for sure.
yeah.
That's not a bad idea. I'd have to look at Okuda. I'd have to see how he fits the scheme and all that good stuff. But it's an interesting thought. I would say that.
So a lot of people are talking about wide receiver, bringing in someone else to help CJ Stroud. Now, to me, wide receiver is fifth on my list. I'll go safety, I'll go cornerback, interior defensive lineman, running back, and wide receiver at number 5 because Nico Collins just went off for almost 1,300. Tank Dell would have been going for more than 1,000 if he stayed healthy. With the wide receiver group, it does get interesting because with $97 million potentially, Harley, you could sign whoever the hell you want. And, with guys like Mike Evans, that excites me. Guys like Jamar Agnew from Jacksonville, very cheap. A third option would excite me. Hollywood Brown from the Cardinals at third option with speed, take the defense over the top would excite me. And then you look at the stars, right? The stars, T. Higgins, Mike Evans, Devontae Adams. Realistically, the Houston Texans could go out there and get whoever they won. To me, wide receiver is number 5. My number one target at wide receiver, Harley, I'm gonna just let you know right now, is Calvin Ridley. And he is going to be a free agent. He just came off 1,000 yards with 6+ touchdowns. I'm not asking him to be number 1, number 2. He is going to be my number 3 option in the slot and see how much damage he does with CJ Stroud.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I like the Calvin Ridley idea. You presented it on my live stream. I like the idea just because he can be a really good slot wide receiver for you. And as of right now, you're not paying Tank Dell. You're not. Nico Collins could be commanding a bag, but at the moment, you're not paying CJ Stroud. You're not paying a lot of these guys. You got the money to do it. So the Houston Texans could definitely take a look into a Calvin Ridley maybe in the slot role and give him a little money. The one thing with Ridley, he had a lot of drops for the Jacksonville Jaguars. A lot of them happened in our games too. I do believe though with CJ Stroud throwing the ball, maybe he doesn't drop the ball as much with like Trevor Lawrence, but Calvin Ridley is an interesting one. I really am starting to grow on the idea of a Marquise Brown. I like that idea of bringing the speed in here. He could be a cheap option for you. Curtis Samuel is really strong for you.
Yeah.
Curtis Samuel is a really, really good target for this team. Someone that is like he has some speed to him. I'm not saying he's Deebo Samuel.
Just some playmaking ability he has.
Exactly. And that's exactly what you need on this team. Curtis Samuel's a very underrated wide receiving option. And I would absolutely love to see that happen. Again, another cheap option. Saying yes to the cheaper wide receiver options, absolutely. You know why? Because you got CJ Stroud. And CJ Stroud look what he did with Noah Brown. And you can't tell me that Marquise Brown / Curtis Samuel, both of those guys are better than Noah Brown. And look what he did with Noah Brown when Noah Brown was healthy. He made some people want Noah Brown to be extended. Like, that's how good CJ made Noah Brown look like. So just imagine with a very fast, shifty receiver in Marquise Brown or a Curtis Samuel as well. One of those two guys, yeah, I'm all in for that. Give me one of them and give me another wide receiver at that. Why not?
Marquise Brown's speed excites me. And like you said, Noah Brown, what CJ Stroud has shown you in year 1 is that he could elevate other wide receivers, other pass catchers. And Noah Brown, the only wide receiver other than Andre Johnson and DeAndre Hopkins that have back-to-back 150-yard performances, which is absolutely insane to be in conversation with multiple Pro Bowlers. DeAndre and Andre were insane here for the Houston Texans, but I think anyone could flourish under CJ Stroud. Mike Evans is what a lot of people are talking about. Now, Mike Evans, you might have to drop the bag for. Harley, I've been talking about Mike Evans since pretty much the offseason. How insane a Hall of Fame wide receiver who could still produce 1,000+ yards, 80+ catches. How crazy he would be for this Houston Texan offense. What do you think about Mike Evans?
I love Mike Evans. I really do. I understand that you have Nico Collins. I understand that he is emerging as a star at the wide receiver position. Tank Dell is another one, though, that also plays on the outside wide receiving role. Mike Evans plays in the outside receiving role. I don't know Mike Evans to be a guy that plays a lot in the slot compared to like Hopkins, who he loves playing in the slot. We see it all the time. We've seen DeAndre Hopkins. He will take advantage of mismatches being a slot wide receiver. I don't know much. I have to look up more on Mike Evans to see if he would do that role. I don't think he will. So that leaves me to going, okay, now you're taking away the outside role from Tank Dell because Nico Collins has to be an outside receiver, in my opinion. Tank Dell can be in the slot, but it definitely feels like you're limiting Tank Dell a little bit there. So as much as I love Mike Evans, I love to bring him here. He's from Galveston. He rocks the H a lot. He's always rocking the Astros jerseys. He does his thing here. I love him, but I do question, and I know people are not going to like it, but I do question whether or not he takes away snaps from Tank Dell, and that's just not something I want to happen.
I mean, obviously you don't want someone taking snaps away from Tank Dell, but when it's going to a Hall of Fame wide receiver who is proven, who in every single season has more than 1,000 yards, I mean, he's on pace to do something that even Jerry Rice hasn't done. So Mike Evans is someone I would definitely take a look at. It's obviously a question about money, even though I have $97 million to mess around with. I will want to see how that contract plays out. But Harley, as we end the live stream, our final post-game episode of the year, can you wrap up for me the Houston? Yeah, honestly, let's cheer, man. Let's cheer. Let's do that one more time. Give me one more. Cheers, man.
I didn't have a lot left, but it's all good.
As we wrap up the year, final thoughts on the Houston Texans season.
I say it again, like I opened my live stream with saying, losing sucks. Okay? Losing sucks. This loss stings. The expectations rose. But at the end of the day, man, it was a great year for the Houston Texans. They did fantastic job this year. They overachieved expectations. There's no way they should have grabbed 10 wins this year, win the division, win a playoff game with a rookie head coach, with a rookie quarterback, with the amount of injuries they went through, with the numerous wide receivers that were in and out for you, the numerous offensive linemen that were in and out for you, this defensive line not being as much depth as you wanted it to be. Having this defense go from 32nd ranked in the NFL against the run all the way to number 2. The number 2 ranked defense against the run, D'Amico Ryans and CJ Stroud, is the building blocks for the future of the Houston Texans. Shout out to Cal McNair. Shout out to Hannah McNair. To everybody that got uninterested with this Texans team the last 2 years. Come on back. Welcome back. You are always, once a Texans fan, always a Texans fan. Come on through. We love you. All right. These Texans are back. We all know that at the end of the day, the Houston Texans are going to be running the division for the next 10 to 15 years because CJ Stroud is your quarterback. That is the ultimate by the bottom line. And I said so. Reason is CJ Stroud is your quarterback. And the Houston Texans, damn it, they did a great thing this year, overachieving, and it was a fantastic run, man. And so there's nothing to hang your hat on. This Texans team, this was a lot of fun. What? And I said it, man.
What?
At the end of this year, I said it. The Houston Texans team reminds me of that 2015 Astros team.
What?
That 2015 Astros team, they were doing things like the Texans.
What's in the chat?
Beating somebody that they shouldn't be beating.
What?
Winning games that they shouldn't be winning.
What?
Go take a wild card playoff game.
What?
Against those nasty Yankees, by the way.
What?
Fuck the goddamn Yankees.
What?
Fuck the goddamn Cowboys.
What?
We the best team in Texas.
What?
We gonna show them that this year too.
What?
Throw us on Thanksgiving, Cowboys.
What?
Y'all don't want none of that smoke.
What?
And I don't want to hear the sewer rats talking.
What?
Because this division is all H-Town.
What?
The future is bright here in Houston, man.
It is.
And the Texans, it's all on the come up now, baby.
Hey, listen, man, we are H-Town till we drown. As I wrap up in the season, my only question to everyone here is, are you not entertained? What this team has just showed you is that they could potentially be competing in the playoffs for the next 10 to 15 years. It doesn't feel like a fluke, ladies and gentlemen. The Houston Texans went out there and won football games against teams that were in the playoffs or were games away from making the playoffs. And then you won a game in Houston, the wild card, 45 points against the Cleveland Browns. You shocked the world all year. Houston Texans, I know you are sad and disappointed after today, but you should hold your head high because the future is as bright as can be. This is not a year three, this is not a year three, CJ Stroud. This is a year one, CJ Stroud. And Mr. Pocket, no one's been crying. I am just proud to be a Houston Texan. And, Harley, our journey started about 4 months ago. When we showed up in Miller Lite Outdoor Theater to watch the draft party with Patrick Storm, and we saw CJ Stroud drafted, we saw them trade up for Will Anderson Jr. Right there, I remember we both said, yeah, this Houston Texans team might be special. Hardy, we were both out there at 4 o'clock in the morning in training camp, just waiting for an opportunity to see this team, to get a good seat, and just really watch the future of this franchise. And then we saw this team surpass all odds, prove everyone wrong, win games they weren't supposed to win, and found themselves winning 10 games in year one, a playoff game in the wild card. Harley, the future is as bright as can be for the Houston Texans, and I am proud to wear the red, white, and blue. I know you are, and we were proud even when this team won 7 games in 2 years. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going nowhere. Harley's not going nowhere. If you think the content is going to stop, then you're absolutely mistaken, because you know where me and Harley eat the most is in the off season. Get ready for the free agency. Get ready for the breakdowns. Get ready for the mock drafts, because when we talk about the Houston Texans going into next season, we are going to be talking about them being a favorite to go to the Super Bowl. Ladies and gentlemen, the final post game of the year. My name is Ruben Calvillo. You can find me on YouTube, 713 Houston Sportcast in the search bar. Almost to 10,000 subscribers. Please help me get there at the end of the football season. Harley, let them know where they can find your work.
You can find me at @TheLead_HOU anywhere on all social media platforms. On YouTube, I do YouTube as well, just like yourself. The Lead Houston, you can type that in and you will immediately find me. We're on the road to 8,000 subscribers, currently at 5,400 subscribers. So I appreciate every single one of y'all that has liked, commented, subscribed. Make sure, if you haven't already, like this live stream, smash the like button, easiest smash of your life. And while y'all at it, if you missed the live stream, you can always check it out on my YouTube channel. You can always check it out on Ruben's YouTube channel. But preferably, if you want to listen to it audibly while you're cooking, cleaning, whatever, okay, JJ. Believe in Texans. Make sure y'all check it out. It is a podcast platform, a part of the Believe Network, where you can find it anywhere where you stream all your podcasting platforms, whether it be Apple, Google, Spotify, anywhere. And brother, the last thing I gotta say, man, let's run it back one more time. Let's do it again. We're back to 0-0. Let's do this thing again. And hey, man, My cheers. I don't got no more drink left, but cheers to you, my guy. I'm on the road to 10K. You're on the road to 20K. Let's get that this off season.
Harley, you deserve all the success in front of you, brother. I'm so proud of you. I love you. You got engaged this year. You're a manager at your job. You are doing absolutely fantastic, man. I'm so proud of your growth this year, dude. I remember us going back in high school, man, and the battles that we had. I was the leader of the underclassmen. You were the leader of the upperclassmen.
We did not like each other.
We did not like each other, man.
Cocky, arrogant sons of bitches.
And for us to be here now, an opportunity to really talk about this Houston Texans team from its inception, Harley, because we were here when they were good. Then we were here when they were bad. And now we are going to be here when they are on the journey to greatness. Ladies and gentlemen, do not forget who was here when Jeff Driscoll was your starting quarterback. It was me. It was Harley. And guys, we are going to keep this up. Don't stop watching us, because the content is it's gonna amp up, man. The off season is where I eat. The off season is where Hardy eat, because all you get to talk about is the future. And we know the future is as bright as can be for this Houston Texans team. This episode was brought to you by Bet Online, and we want to give a shout out to our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ for allowing us to talk football, talk Houston Texans football. We give credit to the man upstairs. And guys, follow Harley at @the_lead_Houston on YouTube. You could type it in on Twitter as well. 713 Houston Sportcast. Final post game of the season. H-Town till we drown. Ladies and gentlemen, you know what I'm going to say? Have a very, very blessed day, and we will see you